So I wanted to do a quick video of basic operation for the auto load system and how to get the pram in and out of the ambulance. First step in this process is going to be where you park the ambulance. Ideally, you want to try to find a place that's relatively level, not too many kind of hills or angles or that kind of thing. So think about your parking as your first step. Second step, once you get on scene and put the vehicle in park, you're going to want to go ahead and set the parking brake. That's an imperative issue. You have to set the parking brake, otherwise the back end of the vehicle will not come down and your deck height's going to be too high. So let's go over to the back of this other ambulance. Okay, so once you come over to the back of the ambulance, we're going to go ahead and open up the doors. And you'll notice the deck height is really pretty high on most of our ambulances. With that parking brake set, you should be able to hit the button, and you can hear that it's lowering, the air is releasing, and you're going to let that come all the way down. You can flip up the step. That'll help you kind of clear the wheels as you bring this out. Next step is going to be to actually push down on this red lever here, and then you're going to start to pull on the pram. You'll notice it comes out, and you can basically just slide it out like a drawer. So we're going to slide this all the way back till it stops. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to push the plus button right here, and that's going to bring the wheels down. Now you got to hold that down until it quits making noise. So you'll note that when I got down to the ground, where the wheels hit the ground, that was actually not done. You've got to make sure that these arms right here that I'm moving up and down right there come all the way to that lowered position. Hopefully you can see those red arms right there going up and down. So those need to be all the way down. Once that's down, you can then bring the pram away. You can do that one of two ways to actually get it to disengage. You can either push this small button here, or you can come up here and pull the lever up here at the top. There's a red lever you can pull up on, and then that will slide the pram away. Another quick tip, if you need to close the doors, say you're at the on scene and for some reason you want to close the doors for security reason, or if you're at the hospital and you just want to close the doors, pretty simple. You're going to lift this all the way up, and then you're just going to slide it in until it's within the threshold here, and then you just kind of leave it right there, and then you'd be able to close the doors at that point. As far as bringing it back out, whenever you do bring your pram out and want to load it again, you're just going to open that up. Once again, lift this up, bring it all the way out till it stops, push it down. You're going to make sure this is down at that 45-degree angle, and then you're good to load again. Okay, so a quick review of just kind of basic power pram operations and how the pram itself works and the functions of this. One thing to note is pretty much any lever or button that is red is going to do something for you. So basic operation, you've got kind of the handrail right here. It just lifts up to fold it. You're going to squeeze the red handle and bring it down. Another common operation is going to be to actually lift the head for the patient. There's a red lever on the back right here. If you squeeze that, you can basically lift or lower this to whatever position you want. When you let go, it's going to lock in that position. Okay? Since we're back here, I'll actually go ahead and mention this pram. It's pretty long, and sometimes getting around corners or into something like an elevator can be difficult. It has the ability to get shorter in case you need to do that. If you bring the head all the way to the up position, there's some red levers here that you can push on and then collapse this in. Now you can see that the entire unit is a lot slimmer, and you'd be able to make a turn around a corner much easier. If you do this, it is imperative that before you load it in the ambulance, that you bring this all the way back out. So that has to come out until it clicks. If it's even just a little bit in like this, you're not going to be able to load it properly into the ambulance. So it has to come out until it locks. Okay? All right, other functions that we'll have on here, we'll go over kind of the basic up-down operations. You'll see here that you've got three buttons in here. You've got a negative, a positive, and then there's a smaller button above. There's a lower position for those buttons and an upper position for those buttons. So whatever your height is, you can kind of grab whatever handles make the most sense for keeping your back aligned properly. If you hit the negative button, that's going to lower it. So I always just think of that as making this distance smaller. If you hit the plus button, that's going to make this distance larger or add to that height. You'll note when the pram is in the fully up position that it sits at a bit of an angle. As you lower it, it's going to become more flat. You can always lower it down to seat height to unload or load patients with those features right there. Okay. Another function that this has is some of the different wheels. I think on some of these there's 2 wheels, on some of it's 1. You've got a brake just to help it not roll away when you're parked on a hill or something like that. Don't always count on this to actually work for you. Depending upon the ground situations, that may not be enough of a brake. You may need to keep somebody on it or hook it over something. The other thing this has is this switch here or this switch here do the same things. So if you can put it here or there, or this switch here. What that is a steer mode. What you'll notice is once I lock that down and then swivel a little bit, these 2 wheels just locked out and these 2 wheels still swivel. So kind of like a grocery cart, now I would be able to steer this easier because these 2 wheels are locked. Whereas when it's in this position, all 4 wheels swivel, so it's harder to control without maybe 2 people controlling it. So that's what that feature is right there. The other thing we're going to need to, there is an IV pole on here, just kind of mention it. If you bring that up, you can push it down there, untwist this, you can set the height on it wherever you like. We do have soft restraints pre-attached to the PRAM right now, so those are available for you. There are some carry bags, so this little net down there as well as here are places you could like put patient valuables. If you put anything down there, you're gonna have to be careful though, because when you load it into the ambulance, obviously that area is gonna get kind of crushed and you're gonna squish anything that's down there. The other thing we need to review is manual operation for this device. If for some reason the battery's dead or there's something malfunctioning with it, first off, it will show you whenever you hit any button. This will show you your battery life, and this will change colors from green to red if that battery is dying. The battery can be changed. There's a button on the bottom. You can slide it out, and then that can just be slid in. We do keep spare batteries in the stock room. We don't keep a spare one on the ambulance. If you need to use this manually, if say your battery is dead, Steph, you mind stepping in? I'm gonna have you help me with this. There's a red lever right here. That is the manual operation lever. And just like a manual PRAM, if you can reach in there and pull that lever over, then you'd be able to go and pull that, and then you can lower it to whatever position. Whenever you let go, it's gonna stop. If we wanna raise that back up, just gonna pull that, and you can operate it manually in that way. As far as loading it back into the ambulance, one of the things you're going to need to make sure is that these arms are in the lowered position. Sometimes if you have like fire get your PRAM for you, they're actually going to end up pulling it out and you're going to come back and find these sitting at more of a horizontal position. You're going to want to make sure that these go down to the lowered position. The way to do that, there's a large button right here on the far right side that is basically a hydraulic release button. If you push that, then physically push these down, you'll get them in the proper position. In the ready position, you should also notice these yellow lights are flashing. So provided everything's here is correctly set for you and the ambulance is in the lowered position, you should be able to bring this in. This bar should hit the top of these arms and fold up as you come in. And then the other thing is you may end up having to lift this a bit. Because of the deck height, sometimes you actually have to lift this up a little bit to get these on. The other thing you have to make sure, there's pins right here, and then there's a ramp right here. On both sides, those pins need to be on top of the ramp. If you get one of these pins under the ramp, you're gonna have a problem. So just make sure that that happens on both sides. You're gonna slide it in until the light turns green. Sometimes that light, go ahead and disconnect it here. Sometimes that light won't turn green right away. You may get in and just be clicked on one side, so sometimes wiggling it back and forth will get that light to turn green for you. Then just hit the negative button, and once again, just like lowering it, you're gonna hold it until it quits making noise. So keep holding it until it stops. Then we're gonna slide it in. Make sure to control the speed. If you're on a bit of a hill, this will actually go way too fast and slam your patient forward. Once it gets to the front, it should lower down and auto lock. At that point, you're pretty much done. I will make one note. On ambulance 289, you actually have to raise back up the deck height by hitting this button again. Ambulance 287 and 288 will actually auto raise when you shift the transmission into drive and go to leave your scene. So you don't have to worry about it on those two, but 289, you do have to physically hit this button to bring it up. Obviously close your doors and you're loaded and ready for transport.